And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. As always, visit our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get yourself down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Or go to the app, and they will deliver pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop. They will bring it right to your front door. Open Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. All right, Aaron, let's get this show on the road. Quite a bit to unpack today. We'll start briefly with the Senior Bowl. I was unable to watch. I don't believe you had the chance to either. But looking at the numbers, great day for Ivan Pace. When you're a unanimous first-team All-American, people expect big things from you in a showcase like the Senior Bowl. 10 tackles, 9 solo. I don't know if the assisted tackle, where half a tackle was credited to the offensive guard, that Ivan just demolished. And that dude, the guard's supposed to be like a first-round pick, and Ivan hit him so hard he tackled the running back.
Good enough to be in the Senior Bowl, which I think that they have some crazy stat of something like, 95% of the people who play in the Senior Bowl get drafted?
Yeah. Ivan was the best defensive player in practices. He won MVP linebacker of the week, which is voted on by the running backs and the offensive line. And he won defensive MVP of the game with his 10 tackles, which was a high for both teams. Like I said, 9 of those unassisted. One of them, I'm guessing, they gave half a tackle to the offensive guard who actually made the stop.
Well, as he said when he tweeted out his awards, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.
He's a dog. He's a dog.
He is going to make people question if they can fit a 5'10" linebacker bowling ball pit bull on their team.
Yeah. Makes plays. Like that's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter the setting. Doesn't matter where that dude has been. He makes plays, and he's very, very good. So kudos to him. Trey Tucker had 1 catch for 18 yards, 1 rush for 12 yards, and then 1 catch for Josh Wiley for 13 yards as well. Both of those guys. Trey had a little bit of the dropsies in practice, but if you watch his routes, he was consistently open. You just got to make teams a little more confident that you're going to bring it in. And then all our counts are that Josh had a pretty good week as well. So 3 Bearcats in the Senior Bowl, all 3 of them, again, like Bearcats do when they go down to Mobile, showed out and had good weeks.
Yeah, you just wish that Trey and Josh had played on the American team because they threw the ball 43 times as opposed to the 15 of 24 that the national team ended up passing for. So it is what it is.
The national team also had a big lead for most of the game. 17-3 at halftime. They ended up winning 27-10. So,
but and the touchdown that the American team scored was in the 4th quarter.
Yeah. So, for all intents and purposes, it was a blowout.
Yeah.
And not a lot of passing.
It's an all-star
for the national
game.
team. Yeah, when they were up. So
everyone's there to have fun.
No, everyone is there to make money. Everyone at that all-star game is there to make millions of dollars. But let's get to the big story of the day. Cincinnati 73, UCF 64. Bearcats with another big run to end the first half. 16-0. They go up into halftime with a solid lead. I don't know if you call it a comfortable lead, but 31-20. Get the 73-64 win. Story for me was the ball pressure that they applied through the first half. It was unbelievable.
I thought their defense was throughout the game, even in the second half when UCF went on their runs. I still thought they played really well. UCF just finally started hitting those shots that they were getting in the first half.
Well, UCF shot the ball pretty well the whole game. The difference being they had 15 turnovers at halftime, 10 steals in the first half for Cincinnati, and 4 drawn charges. So that accounted for 14 of the 15 UCF turnovers at the half. And when you have 10 steals, in a half, I was curious, and they wouldn't indulge me post game. They talked around it. I wondered if there was something they saw with the way UCF handled the ball, because their ability, every time UCF a guard put the ball in front of him, there was a hand swiping that ball away. DeJulius, Adams Woods, Finnessy.
Keep in mind, they play this same team in 15 days.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're not going to give you everything that they had in their scouting report. That would be foolish.
Yeah, of course. But I wanted to know, was there something going into the game that you guys saw that was like, we can take advantage of this? Because it looked like they were ready. Every time a UCF defender put the ball in front, there was a hand smacking at it. Wes said it was just he wasn't happy with how little ball pressure they had been applying. And it was a focus, and they turned that focus into 26 turnovers, 16 steals, 5 drawn charges. Like that's a hell of a day from your defense. And if you notice, when they went on their run, UCF, they didn't turn the ball over. Like, they got a lot of what they wanted offensively when they were able to execute. But you turn the ball over 26 times, you better not let the team that turned it over 26 times win. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt when you have the 20th ranked player of the class from last season, or from last recruiting class, on your team. Yeah. Taylor Hendricks is really good. Their best player recruited in history, and that's a team that also had Taco Fall. But they were good. They were certainly good. I mean, to overcome the turnovers and still make it a game down the stretch, a hell of a job by Johnny Dawkins. And I don't know. I mean, hat tip to him. They had me sweating at the end of the game. I thought it was a meltdown a little bit on Cincinnati's part.
That would have been a meltdown. Like, you remember how we talked against Houston?
Right.
We didn't think that was a meltdown. And by the way, Hendricks on 24/7 was ranked 67th in the composite. 24/7 had him the 84th best player in the country. That was a miss. That kid, I don't know how
they said
6'9".
Maybe it was ESPN's rankings. They said he was the 19th best player.
Probably was. Let me see. That's probably why he had such a jump in the composite. There's got to be somewhere in there that had him, quite a bit higher.
Sure.
No, they had him 59th on ESPN.
Then I don't know what the hell they were talking about when they said he was a 4-star at 19.
Well, 19 would be a 5-star. Like,
look, I'm just trying to recall off a graphic.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm just trying. Like, I don't know anywhere that had him that high.
Regardless, he was a dog.
He was 65 on Rivals, so nobody had him that far up, but they should have. You want to talk about getting it wrong in the recruiting rankings? They did not have Taylor Hendricks ranked appropriately, because he would have had all of the high major schools after him if he was ranked properly. I'll tell you that right now.
Sure, he goes 50% from the field, 4-9 from 3, 7-14 total on the day, 3 for 3 from the line, 8 boards, 2 assists, a block, a steal. He filled every column in the standard stat sheet.
He's got a long way to go defensively. But offensively, there's not much that kid can't do.
No.
And in terms of best players I've seen in this conference, it's Jarris Walker and then Taylor Hendricks pretty close behind.
They said he had a bad game last game. I think he only had something like 6 points in his last game.
It's freshman. It's going to happen.
Big bounce back for him.
Yeah. Key for Cincinnati offensively, I mean, when you get, let's see, 21 of 38, I'll let you do the math on that. Landers Nolly, David DeJulius, Victor Locken, 21 of 38 from the floor.
55%.
Yeah, 55. That's when your top three guys are at 55%. And really, Landers didn't have a great game. 7 of 16, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He broke Brent's heart as Brent had the over 23.5 on points, rebounds, and assists combined. He finished with 23 and would have had 25 if he makes the dunk at the end.
Wide open, fast break dunk.
Nobody around, and just rimmed it out. I saw Brent die a little inside next to me when that happened. But
sounds about right.
But there's no mistaking it. Those are your top three guys, and when your top three guys all play at a really high level, you're going to win most of the time. Sure. They didn't get enough from everybody else.
I agree.
But your top three guys were high end. What, 40, 50, 57 combined, 57 of 71 or 73 from your top three guys. That's pretty good from your horses.
And Rob Finney had a great game today, logging 16 minutes. That's the most time that he's had back from the injury. I think they said it was his first point since, I don't recall the exact date in November, maybe November 30th, 23rd, something with a.
Well, it's right when he got hurt because he was starting to find his groove offensively and then got hurt.
Right. Even if it came as free throws, he did get on the board today. Also finishes with a rebound. What is it? 2 assists and 3 steals.
He was disruptive in his first stretch when they first put him on the floor. I mean, every ball that was even in his vicinity, he was knocking away and swatting around.
And they ran a lot of rotation of Rob and Micah and Dave, all three on the floor at the same time. And that's the first time we've seen really 3 point guards on the floor for Cincinnati at the same time. And I have no idea how long.
They usually don't have 3 on the roster. It's been a struggle here to have 1 on the roster. So having 3 on the floor at the same time, but it was late when they were trying to press and rattle Cincinnati. And that's a nice luxury to have, where you get all 3 of them on the floor at the same time.
And yet they still had issues trying to get the ball up court with the 3 of them on the floor at the same time.
A lot of length for UCF, man.
At least on one of the possessions, anyway.
Well, then you had Landers that just threw one to the other team. I mean, he had a weird 3-minute stretch there at the end of the game. Wasn't like him. He lost his mind for 3 minutes.
It was a weird game. I mean, when you let UCF, you're up 16 in the second half, and in the course of
10:41.
In the course of 3 minutes, that 16-point lead was dwindled down to 3? So that was strange. I didn't. No one loved watching that, but they were able to figure it out. Davenport had a weird game himself. He goes 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 3 rebounds, did foul out, 1 assist.
A couple charges.
1 could have been a flop. But 1 assist, 2 turnovers, a block, ended up with 5 total points. I don't know. He shot weird shots throughout the day, I thought. He did have one where I thought for sure he was going to shoot it. I didn't want him to shoot it, and he kicks it over to Landers Nolly for his assist on the day for that wide open three. Made the extra pass. But it's like you see these plays where he does things like that, and you just wonder why can't you do that more often?
Sometimes you are who you are, Aaron.
I'll be honest. In this particular game, I was not sad to see him foul out.
They played better when he wasn't on the floor today.
It came at a weird time in his game today, and I was okay to not see any more Jeremiah Davenport. Now, that said, I hope he comes back out in the next game and knocks down 5 threes.
Yeah. He's there's wild swings.
He is the streakiest player for this team that I can remember.
It's been a while. Long time. It's been a while, for sure. What else you want to get to?
I thought Vic played outstanding today. Just
one of his best games as a Bearcat overall.
Outstanding. Sure. His pick and roll looked phenomenal. He realized, both he and the coaching staff realized very early on that UCF was at a disadvantage down low, and they took advantage of it as he went for 20 points. And his hands, we've talked about it before, but he accounted for 4 steals, 1 block. He was a menace on both sides of the ball today.
His hands, the quickness of his hands on defense just don't make sense for a guy his size, because you've got so much ground to cover with the wingspan that he has, where you hack a lot. Most guys do.
Well, and I think some of it was also
great timing and great feel. Like he has a vision of like where the ball is going to be, and he gets there faster.
I think some of it also goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast when we started talking about basketball anyway, where we talked about the fact that they were just defensively set and rotating so well defensively. And I think that some of those steals were just a product of making maybe a pass that you don't make as crisp to the guy down low, because you aren't used to a guy down low like Vic.
Well, and what makes you uncomfortable as a guard is if you can't bring the ball out, like you have to dribble. It always reminds me when I see a team play like Cincinnati did today. It reminds me of those Big East Villanova teams where they had guards that just played up under you. And what I mean by that is like anytime you tried to dribble or tried to, cross, switch hands, bring the ball in front, there was disruption. And when you do that, you never feel comfortable with your dribble, and that impacts entry passes because you're not getting the ball. You're not comfortable getting the ball into the position you want to make the play, to make the move. And they did an awesome job of that today. And that's what Wes wants to do. Like, that's how he would prefer his teams play. Press or no press, he wants his guards to be up under you defensively.
We did mention that Landers had a great game. And they started, I guess they set the tone early that it was going to be a physical game, just in the way that there were lots of
anything like the first 10 minutes.
There was lots of hand checks. There was lots of reaching in on both sides. And Cincinnati came away with the ball more often than they gave the ball away, although they did have, I think, 4 turnovers in the first 8 minutes themselves. I think that was a stat that I had written down. But I thought the guy who had probably the biggest game of the day was Dave. And it seemed that every time this team was needed a huge play, he had one. And he just pulled it out of his pocket and said, gotcha.
The 3 on Hendricks at the end to push it back out to 6 was they switched the ball screen. And this is where, like, what's happening with Dave and Vic impacts everything in the way that they're playing together in the ball screen. Like, you're seeing legit 2-man game.
He made the pass to Vic on just the play before, a couple plays before, where Vic goes down in 2 hands.
Early in the game, UCF was either blitzing or high hedging ball screens, which means you're running the big guy and the guy, you're running both defenders that are on the play out to push Dave back and to get him out of his comfort zone playing the ball screen. And that's when Dave starts finding Vic on the roll or kicking it opposite to the corner, depending on how the defense, if they hide. Basically, when I don't want to get I hate getting too technical on this. When you run two guys out at the ball handler, the guy guarding the corner has to recover to have a play on the big man. And that leaves the guy in the corner open. So Dave's responsibility is, if he can't get downhill, hit Vic rolling, or hit whoever's in the corner that the guy is coming off of him. Well, they were so good at that Central Florida started switching ball screens. Like, they had to come out of their ball screen coverage. So when they switch, now you've got Dave on a big guarding him, or you've got Vic on a small, because whoever was guarding Dave is now on Vic because they switched the ball screen.
Right.
And they just abused it. Like, this is the best I remember ball screen offense probably since Troy, when Troy had Kyle and Gary, and you could do so many pick and pop, pick and roll, hit the pocket pass if you're driving. This is the best ball screen offense I remember from UC in 6-7 years. And it's been so effective.
I can only imagine how much better it would have been over the course of the last couple of games if Micah could hit the corner three.
That's been a problem because I talked about that, getting it to the corner, because the guy guarding him has to suck in to help. He's got to get back on track and start knocking those down. Like, they're good, clean rhythm.
Wide open.
He's got to get his confidence back. And sometimes it's just as simple as having one fall. And I do think with Rob back, Micah will be able to get his legs back a little. Like, they put a lot of wear and tear on Micah.
Yes.
Through January. Mm-hmm. So hopefully he can get his legs back under him. He can get his confidence back a little, because think how big those runs could have been if you'd have had Micah adding in, if he goes 2 of 6. Yeah. All of a sudden that 16-point lead is 20.
Instead, he finishes 0 for 6 for the day, ends up with 6 points. The layup he had was I thought the layup he had was maybe one of his best plays this season. A highlight.
Hesitation.
Mm-hmm. Where he went left and then cut right and then ended up laying it up with his left hand.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. But I think I don't know that I have much else. I mean,
Dan was good on the glass today. Not much of an impact as a scorer, but did have 4 rebounds in 7 minutes. I think 3 of them were offensive.
Hat tip to
two were offensive.
Hat tip to Vic, 6 of 6 from the line today.
Yep.
He wants that 3, I think.
I asked Wes, does this get him, just get him buy him a 3 or 2? He said he's going to have to go 6 for 6 a couple games before the green light is given to him on the 3 ball.
I mean, if you're going to go to the line that many times, and he led the team he had double more than anybody else close to him. You got to make him, and he certainly did.
Weird day. DeJulius and Nolly 2 for 6 combined from the line. Vic 6 of 6. Mm-hmm. You would expect that to be reversed based on their
numbers, seasonal numbers. Yeah.
So, no, your 3 main guys played really well and had to. You're starting to get a little bit more of a lift from the bench. You could tell that was one West knew they needed to win. That was a pretty short rotation. You just saw Kalu briefly right before the half, so that Vic didn't pick up a cheap foul on the last second shot. You didn't see Josh Reed today. They're pretty much down to 8 almost, with situational Ezekpe as the 9th, Josh Reed is the 10th. But they're pretty much down to 8, which this time of year, you're refining your rotation and you're getting that thing down to 7, 8 guys. Backup guard, backup wing, backup big, right? Like that's.
I'm just surprised to not see any Reed, but
whose minutes are you taking?
You don't want the answer to that question.
But he also made some positive plays today. He just didn't hit his shots.
He had some really bad plays today too.
I know. He had some really good ones. That he is what he is, man. He is what he is.
What's the guy from Batman? Two-Face?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
Man.
But all right, I don't have a ton else. So that's going to wrap it up. Maybe tomorrow night we'll give that look at the American that we've been teasing for a while now as we start to kind of get into the stretch run of the season. So that's the nightcap. He's Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. It's brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!